We all start our days in similar ways. From waking up to heading out the door for the tasks that lie ahead of us, we each depend on the connections we make to build our community and strengthen our lives. From the tasks of the day as we work to meet the needs of our growing community. To educating the next generation on the power of electricity. To the connections we make with our neighbors. To sharing in the spirit of the game and celebrating all victories. At the end of the day, it's not just about the electricity we provide. It's about the connections we make with you.
Call this meeting to order, and I'd like to acknowledge our Mr. Justin Cosiello and our musician Brian Sanders, and let's give them a big hand of applause. And at this time, I'd like to call Mr. Colt Allen to have the invocation.
Let's go ahead and bow our heads and pray. Father, thank you so much for this time together. We give you glory for the fact that you brought us here, for the fact that you care for us, and even for the fact that you put breath in our lungs today, Lord. We love you, God, and give you praise. And right now, Lord, I ask a special prayer, a blessing over this community. Lord, I've grown up here all my life, and I'm so thankful for the opportunity to live amongst these people. I simply ask that you would watch over this wonderful group of people and supply their every need. I pray you pour out your Holy Spirit on us and continue to lead and to guide and direct us. I pray, Lord, a special prayer of blessing over these leaders, the board of Jones Onslow. Would you grant them wisdom and discernment on how to lead in a godly manner? Show them the ways in which this business should go and give them a fresh filling of your Holy Spirit. I pray a special prayer of blessing over the employees of Jones Onslow. Would you give them your protection? Watch over them as they serve our community and keep them safe from harm. Lord, I pray even a special prayer of blessing over the members of Jones Onslow, the contributors. I pray, Lord, that you would give them a year of blessing and prosperity, a year of favor and a year of abundance. But I pray most of all, Lord, that you would give us each the wisdom to know that you are Lord, that you are boss, that you are the one in charge. Lord, be present in this meeting. We long for you and we need you. We humble ourselves before you right now. Have your way and lead us. You are the good shepherd, and so we trust you to lead and to guide us. And we give you thanks for this meeting. We give you thanks for even the food that we're eating. And we give you thanks for the blood that you shed on the cross, dying our death so that we might have life in you. Bless this meeting, O Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Coles. If you are able to, please stand while the Northside Junior ROTC presents the colors. We say the Pledge of Allegiance. We have someone sing the national anthem, and then we retire the colors. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Please be seated. Thank you.
Good evening. We have a couple of special guests with us this evening who are going to make a few remarks. And the first one that we're going to call up is Tim Foster, the chairman of the County Commissioners. Now, Tim was born and raised in Onslow County, and he began his public service in the fall of 1991 when he was hired to teach in the Onslow County school system. Commissioner Foster taught, coached, and served as an assistant athletic director in Onslow County from 1991 to 2004. And in 2004, Tim began his administrative career in Onslow County, where he served as an assistant principal for 3 years and then principal for 15 years. Tim was selected as the 2018 Onslow County Schools Principal of the Year. He retired after 31 years with the Onslow County School System in June of 2022. So he's going to come before us tonight and say a few words, and let's give him a round of applause.
First, thank you so much for being here tonight, Mr. Clark, for being such a great host for Jones Onslow and looking out in this crowd and realizing that this is a huge family. And one thing, just a quick question by raising a hand, how many of you are born and raised here in Eastern North Carolina? There's quite a bit of us. And you know, sometimes we get picked on about how we drive on snow. And we realize that folks that come down and visit us or join us, it's not snow we can't drive on. We know it's ice, so we stay home and everybody else is in the ditch. But it also made me think about years ago when I was talking or speaking with my teachers, and I realized just how many were not from Eastern North Carolina. And that was when Superstorm Sandy made it into New York. Of course, it left us and it was just a hurricane, but it moved further north and made it to a major city and it became a superstorm. And I said, let me tell you the difference between people in Eastern North Carolina and other parts of the country. We don't get upset waiting on the lineman to get to our house and our community to get the power back on. One thing we do great here is we get those propane tanks up, we fire the grills up, so when those folks show up in our neighborhood to turn on the power when we've been waiting after a hurricane, we feed them because we're thankful for what they do for us when it comes to taking care of our power and our safety. And with that being said, I also want to acknowledge all the work that Jones Onslow EMC does in our community. They don't just show up and keep the power on. They're in your schools, they're in your neighborhoods, they're at your charities. They truly do just what they say they do. They're a membership that gives back to the community, and there's so much that we couldn't do if they didn't do what they did. Not only our power, but our people. So tonight we welcome you to the annual membership on behalf of the Onslow County Board of Commissioners to one of the greatest assets in our community, Jones Onslow Electrical Membership Corporation, a true community partner. Thank you for being here tonight.
I don't know. Should have let the mayor go first. It's going to be hard to top that. Our second guest is Mayor Sammy Phillips. Sammy is a Jacksonville-born citizen, and he is the mayor of Jacksonville right now. He's been around for quite some time. He was in the law enforcement business here in Jacksonville. We won't ask if he ever dealt with any of you out there in the crowd tonight in a professional manner. We'll leave that for another time. Sammy was very instrumental in leading the Jacksonville Police Department and becoming a nationally accredited law enforcement agency back in 1991. And when he retired from the police department, he decided to take some time off. But that didn't last too long. He said he got kind of bored and realized that he needed some things to do. So he got on the Jacksonville City Council and eventually was elected mayor and has been in that position from 2007. That's what this said, but I didn't believe it. That's a long time. Probably the best mayor that we've had in Onslow County or Jacksonville in the history of Jacksonville. He stays busy with family, and he plays some golf, and he's here tonight to spread a few words of encouragement to the crowd. So, Sammy?
Thank you, Jeff. The fellow that sang the national anthem, the Star Spangled Banner, I guess he's back in the audience again. Anyway, I just want to say that that's still my favorite song, one of my favorite songs, and I'm sure it is with you too. It kind of gives you a little chill bumps and makes you a little bit proud to be an American. I do want to thank you all for coming out tonight, and it's good to see everybody. I know it's been a couple of years since everybody's gotten back together. I've always looked forward to this event, to be able to come out here and get among some of you folks, some of the members of the membership here. On behalf of the city of Jacksonville, I welcome you, Jones Onslow leadership, and all the honored guests here, which means you, to this wonderful event. It is good to see some of the familiar faces and new faces here as we celebrate all that has been accomplished this year. I'm especially happy to be here with you all, as I consider you not just a group that makes up a business here in this community. I consider you as a partner, as a part of our history, and as a member of this community. I'm talking about Jones Onslow Electric Membership Corporation. They've been providing service here since 1939. Set up to provide electricity to rural homes and farms throughout the county. I believe that there were only a handful of employees at the time that it was originated, when it began. But today, that number has grown as far as employees of the corporation. But today, the corporation has over 2,400 miles of line and are serving over 75,000 customers, including you. That is an accomplishment to be proud of. And Jacksonville digs you. In fact, we dig with you as we find ways to rebuild infrastructure and improve the landscape of our city. An example of this is the New Bridge streetscape project that is currently underway to bring service lines underground in Jacksonville and reshape the gateway of our downtown area. What is Jones Onslow Electric Membership Corporation to us? You are engaged partners in helping to provide our citizens with the best in service. And here at the city, we have seen you in action. We can count on you as you put your best foot forward during hurricane season, when so many rely on power to their homes. You get those lights turned on, and I don't care what anybody says. What I saw during Florence was hands down Jones Onslow met the challenge, and while Progress Energy was still trying to figure out what to do. I don't think I'll be invited to speak at their function. Anyway, a great job, and kudos to the management and the team here at Jones Onslow. You've made your mark here as a team that cares about your customers and all those who live here in Jacksonville and the Onslow County. You continue to partner with us to help build on economic growth, tourism, and take pride in civic affairs. Thank you for being a part of our progress. You are there to support the community through events like National Night Out, Jacksonville Jamboree, and the State of the Community Annual Breakfast. We thank you for this support. And I thank all of you at Jones Onslow Electric Membership Corporation for embracing the ideals of our caring community, and that our city is one city. Our county is one county. I thank you for inviting me here tonight, and I hope all of you have a wonderful evening, and I hope you win something out here. I know there's going to be some drawings. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips and Mr. Foster. Really quick, I've got some special announcements for you folks. First of all, this is a no smoking facility and a no vaping facility. So if you feel the need to do that. It may have stopped raining outside, but please don't do that inside here. We'd appreciate it. Also, all the emergency exits are pretty well marked. If you look to my left and right, or your right and left, up here, they're marked. We have ushers stationed up front here. Of course, there's exits in the back where you came in. So if anything should happen, we'll have ushers that can escort you out. And lastly, we just want to talk about the door prize drawings that'll be going on as we're having this meeting right now, and you're sitting here listening to these speeches. The folks in the back are drawing for door prizes. So give them a little while. They started probably 10 or 15 minutes ago. So they're drawing for door prizes now at some point in time, maybe between before we bring on the special entertainment and we give away some other prizes. You guys can go back there and check, or at the end of the night. You can go when we're done at the end of the night. For those that didn't win the truck, which will be everyone but one, maybe you can win something else, right? So we'll be doing that after the conclusion of the business meeting. We'll be giving away some special prizes, which includes the longest married couple. Both of them have to be in attendance. And the oldest female member, oldest male member in attendance. If you have already previously won any of those rocking chairs, you're not eligible. I'm sorry. And we'll give away a prize for the couple married the least amount of time, and both members need to be in attendance. And if you're here on a Friday night and you've been married 6 months, welcome to date night, right? So hang on, they're drawing door prizes.
And now I'd like to announce the reading of the 2022 annual meeting minutes and proof of mailing of the 2022 notice. Unless there's a motion to dispense with the reading of the annual meeting minutes. Yes, sir. I've got a motion. Is there a second? All in favor, say by aye. Any opposed, that same sign? Thank you. And at this time, I'd like to call on our Mr. Cecil Hargett for the treasurer's report.
Good evening. This is a fairly lengthy report, important but lengthy. I'll try to move through it as quickly as I can. As treasurer of Jones-Onslow Electric Membership Corporation, I am honored to present the results of our operations and discuss our financial condition for the calendar year of 2022. Prior to this meeting, all members should have received either a paper copy or a link to a digital copy of our annual report. This report includes our financial statements for the year ending December 31st, 2022. Your board of directors provides governance and oversight that includes ensuring that sound financial policies are in place. These policies are designed to ensure that your cooperative has the resources needed to pay all daily operating expenses and fixed expenses. These policies also include setting financial targets that will provide adequate reserves to fund the construction of infrastructure required to meet both the current and future energy needs of the membership. For year-end December 31st, 2022, Jones-Onslow's assets totaled $364 million. This was an increase of 4% over assets in 2021. Jones-Onslow membership has continued to see strong growth. During 2022, your cooperative constructed over 2,500 new services. This growth, along with the favorable weather conditions we experienced during 2022, contributed to our increase in operating revenues to $151.9 million. This was an increase of 4.9% over 2021. Cost of power, which is our largest expense, was $98.5 million. This was an increase of 2.4% over 2021. Our operations, maintenance, and general expenses for 2022 were $125.3 million, and that was an increase of 12.6% over the previous year. However, these expenses were still 5.3% lower than the amount budgeted for 2022. Our fixed expenses, which include depreciation, taxes, and interest during 2022, were $20 million. This was an increase of 2.8% over the previous year. However, the actual amount expended was 5.6% lower than the amount budgeted for 2022. Total overall expenses, including cost of power, increased by 4.1% over 2021. The majority of this increase was driven by additional power requirements to meet the membership's growth and the associated energy needs. Our operating margins, revenue less expenses, commonly known as capital credits, for 2022 were $4.2 million. Margins are necessary in order to have the cash flow required to operate our business and are contractually required by our financial lenders. You, as members of Jones Onslow, generate most of these margins as you pay for your electric service. These margins are used in the normal course of business to build and upgrade the cooperative's electrical distribution system. As financial conditions warrant, we return a portion of these margins to you, our members. In 2022, we returned close to $1.5 million of capital to the membership in the form of either a check or a credit on the electric bill. Additionally, in December, we returned a one-time $20 credit to each account that was active and billed during December. This had an overall effect of lowering the average member's annual bill by $59. I am pleased to report that Jones Onslow's financial policies that are in place did their job, and your cooperative remains a financially sound organization with the resources in place to deliver the safe, reliable, and affordable electric services that you are accustomed to. As the treasurer of this organization, I can assure you that the entire board of directors and management is dedicated to finding new and innovative ways to meet your current and future needs. Thank you for this opportunity to speak with you this evening and deliver this report.
At this time, I'd like to call on our CEO to give his report, Mr. Jeff Clark.
Good evening. Welcome to our annual meeting. It's good to see everybody out here in person tonight. It's been a while since we've been together, and we want to thank you for being here this evening. Tonight, I want to take you on a little bit of a journey. I want to tell you a story. Stories about where we came from, where we are today, but more importantly, where we are headed. At the unusual hour of 2 a.m., sometime probably in May of 1939, 5 men anxiously leaned against their parked cars on Hargett Street in Richlands. They were there at 2:00 in the morning, they were there to plan one of the most important meetings in the history of Jones and Onslow counties. These men, Albert Venters, E.C. Marshburn, Henry Kavanaugh, Rex Hill, and William Hill, were meeting to figure out how to have a meeting at 3:00 on the following afternoon in Jacksonville and have at least 300 people present for that meeting. These 5 men knew that if they could pull off this critical meeting, it would provide untold benefits not only for those attending, but also for future generations. And you are those future generations that those men were meeting about back in 1939. But how could they spread the word and assemble 300 people in just a short amount of time? The importance of the meeting was pale in comparison to the formidable job of informing hundreds needed to make the meeting. There was no newspaper they could put an article in. There were no radio stations they could advertise on. There were only a handful of telephones available. And vehicular traffic was very slow because the roads pretty much weren't even paved at that time. But when neighbors help neighbors, even the impossible can become a reality. And that's what happened. These 5 men battled the odds. And the following afternoon, a crowd of more than 300 people overflowed the agricultural building on Old Bridge Street in Jacksonville. And this hastily called meeting turned out to be the organizational meeting of a new entity called Jones-Onslow Rural Electrification Authority, now known as Jones-Onslow Electric Membership Corporation. And based on the efforts of these 5 men and the others that were involved, Jones-Onslow EMC received its charter on June 22nd, 1939. The first loan that Jones-Onslow received from the Rural Electrification Authority in Washington was for the amount of $284,000. And it was to build 227 miles of line in Jones, Onslow, Duplin, and Lenoir counties for the purpose of providing electricity to approximately 1,288 members. Now, in order to become a member of this newly formed electric cooperative, you had to pay a membership fee of $5. And there were a lot of people that paid the $5. When the board of directors was trying to figure out where they would buy their wholesale power from, they were advised that Tidewater Power refused to sell energy to the cooperative. That was quite a curveball, and Jones-Onslow REA was forced to build its own generating plant. The plant was constructed near the main gate of Camp Lejeune. And after other sources of power were secured, it was finally sold to the United States government. The very first annual meeting of Jones-Onslow REA was held in Comfort, North Carolina on the 21st of June in 1940, 83 years ago. And by that time, the young cooperative had 706 accounts. And in 1944, the cooperative rented office space in a cottage in the Overbrook section of Jacksonville at 205 North Marine Boulevard. And at this time, there were 1,105 consumers and 300 miles of line. The cooperative then moved to a new office and a warehouse complex on Highway 17 south in 1954. And by June of that year, Jones Onslow had 6,194 consumers and 1,004 miles of line. And in 1974, the cooperative's general office and warehouse facilities were moved to their present location on Western Boulevard in Jacksonville. The cooperative at that time had grown to 20,400 members, and they were served through 1,573 miles of line. And in 1989, the cooperative constructed a district office in Sneads Ferry to meet the needs of the growing membership down there. With many changes facing the industry, Jones Onslow EMC is still serving its consumers, the members, you, with the neighbor helping neighbor concept through the cooperative way of business. With over 2,500 miles of line and serving over 82,000 meters, Jones Onslow is one of the fastest growing and most innovative cooperatives in the United States. Let's take a look now, fast forward to the present, and look at what's going on in North Carolina and how that affects your cooperative. In 2021, the General Assembly passed a bill, and it's called HB 951. It sets the framework for the next 10 years of how the utility systems in North Carolina should, number one, take all reasonable steps to achieve a 70% reduction in emissions of carbon dioxide from electric public utilities from 2005 levels by the year 2030. And carbon neutrality by 2050. Number two, this bill authorizes performance-based regulation of electric public utilities. This means that the Utilities Commission of North Carolina will have oversight of this plan for the next 10 years. The third provision in that bill is to proceed with rulemaking on securitization of certain costs and other matters. And the fourth provision is to allow potential modification of certain existing power purchase agreements with eligible small power producers. What this means is renewable energy resource power generation will be able to be put into the grid. If you have a solar panel system on your home, that could possibly be put into the grid. And these four mandates will help guide Jones Onslow and our statewide organization over the next decade. We have been preparing for this for several years, and I'd like to give you some information about what we've done to prepare for what is happening now. We've added $132.6 million worth of new poles, wires, transformers, and new services to keep our grid up to date. This has ranged anywhere from $16 million a year to $22 to $23 million in a particular year. Our balance sheet has gone from $293 million in total assets in 2016 to $360 million at the end of 2022. And we have a very strong equity position in this balance sheet. And that equity is important because that's what you, the members, actually own at this particular point in time. In 2016, we had 68 different job positions inside our organization with 154 employees. In 2023, we have 98 positions and 186 employees. This is an increase of 30 new positions and 32 new employees in 7 years. During this time, our labor and benefits expense only went up around 11%. In 2016 through 2018, we have implemented a demand reduction program. This was about $1 million investment on our part, and it has now saved us approximately $5 million since we put this program into place. We've converted all of our street lighting and security lighting to LEDs. We did that in 2016, 17, and 18. That alone is saving us about $500,000 a year every year. And in 2019 and 2020, we implemented an advanced metering infrastructure system for our meter reading program. But more importantly, this new infrastructure lays the foundation for some projects on the operational side of our business. We're in the process of building a fiber network to our service territory for operating purposes. So far, we've invested about $4.3 million in this, and we expect to finish it for under $7 million. And to give you a little perspective, many companies our size have spent somewhere between $15 and $20 million to do what we're going to do for less than half of that. We've also converted our core software system to the newest platform available, and that will take us well into the future in serving your consumer needs. But let's talk for a minute about how this stuff has actually affected you, our members. So we've consistently produced margins in the $4 to $7 million range for the last 7 years. And this is good because it allows us to satisfy all of our financial requirements and stay in good favor with our bankers. It also allows us to share these good fortunes with you. Over the last 7 years, we've given back around $12 million in lower power costs. Since 2018, we have absorbed $18.5 million in coal ash issue costs that Duke Energy incurred, and they were passed on to us because we do get our power from Duke. We absorbed that $18.5 million of coal ash expense, and did not pass that along to you. So just between these two items in the last several years, we have saved you over $30 million. But all of these things I just mentioned wouldn't really mean as much as they do if you didn't know what I'm about to tell you. We did all of this without increasing our kilowatt hour rate to our members. Our kilowatt hour rate has been the same since May of 2013. That's almost 10 years now. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know of anything else that stayed the same price for 10 years. But hold on. We did increase our facilities charge. We did it in 2021. We had to increase it by $4 a month on every account. Not the rate, but the facilities charge. But we had such a good year that year, we gave most of that back that time. We're not planning on increasing the facilities charge anytime in the near future. Not only have our rates been the same, we have some of the lowest rates for the cost of 1,000 kilowatt hours in the entire state. And we did a lot of this stuff while we were going through a pandemic. So now you might be saying to yourself, well, that sounds all well and good, but how does Jones Onslow really compare to other electric companies? Well, every year we get a report, and it compares us to other electric cooperatives in North Carolina as well as the rest of the United States. So let me give you a few excerpts on what that report says. Number one, Jones Onslow is the fourth largest distribution cooperative in the state of North Carolina. The average long-term debt per consumer in the United States of America for over 800 distribution cooperatives is $2,668. At Jones Onslow, it's $1,667. This means our owners are $1,000 better off than any other cooperative in the United States of America. When we look at our operation and maintenance expenses every year, other cooperatives pay around $300 a year. We pay $88 per year in our operation and maintenance expense per consumer. So we're saving $212 per consumer per year on our operating and maintenance expenses. The average consumer per employee in the United States is 307. Jones Onslow, an average for us is 462 members for every employee we have. You can see we're much more efficient in that category than the majority of other cooperatives in the country. And in the most current American Consumer Satisfaction Survey results, under the question of how satisfied are you with your co-op, the overall national ranking is 8.81, and your cooperative, Jones Onslow EMC, is rated at 9.06, far above the national average. Thank you. So as you can see, Jones Onslow is in a great position, and we're poised to do even bigger and better things for our members in the future. And this is because of your board setting good policies and giving us good direction for the future, and the employees of this company executing on these policies and these directions. And that direction that I've just mentioned takes into account several areas. First, we have a strategic plan that's created every 3 years by the board and the senior management of this organization to give us guidance for the next 3 years. We recently created an internal program called Vision EMC. We launched it last year to help educate, inform, and identify future leaders from inside the cooperative, ensuring that we'll have stability as we move through time. We have a company-wide digital communication platform that we've installed. It's difficult to talk to 180 people on a regular basis. Now everyone in the company knows what's going on all the time. Working with our statewide power supplier on a distribution operation initiative, we will be integrated into the power supply network more in the future to create opportunities to save on wholesale power costs. We're working with some very high-tech companies these days as well. We're working with a company that uses satellite imagery to let us know where we need to trim trees and not waste time trimming trees that we don't have to. And this will cut down on the number of outages that we have in the future. We're in the process of standing up a supervisory control and data acquisition system. This will give us more insight into our grid and allow us to be more efficient in the future. We're working on converting all of our existing inventory and our poles and our wire and our transformer and other equipment into a state-of-the-art geographic information system. And when we have this SCADA system and this GIS project done, we will begin work on an automated distribution management system. This will allow us to monitor our grid at a level that we've never been able to before, and to respond to outages in a way that will get power on more quickly than ever before. There might be times when we get the power back on before alignment even arrives. The bottom line is this, though. None of this would be possible without the direction of our board and the efforts of our employees. So, in wrapping up my remarks this evening, I'd like to give you a snapshot of what happened in 2022. So, due to the continued threat of COVID, Jones Onslow announced our annual meeting would be virtual. The virtual format once again saw a record number of registration, with 2,800 members participating in that event. We had a capital credit refund, almost $2.3 million to the members who received electric service from Jones Onslow from 1999 and 2021. Since 1998, Jones Onslow has returned $37.5 million in capital credits to our members. We selected 4 high school juniors that would be representing the cooperative at the summer's youth tour in Washington, D.C. These students were chosen through an essay at their available high school in their area. We awarded 3 middle school Touchstone Energy Sports Camp scholarships for 3 individuals to attend basketball camps at UNC Chapel Hill or North Carolina State. We gave away 29 scholarships of $1,000 apiece for students in our communities. 25 graduated from local high schools and 4 were in the community colleges in our area. We installed some more payment kiosks to make it easier for our customers, our members, to pay bills. We've got one at the Piggly Wiggly in Swansboro and Jones County Government Center in Trenton. We now have 6 stations outside of our main office that people can pay their bills through. We created a program called Power Bucks, that allows members to make a payment on fellow members' accounts anonymously. And there are a lot of people who need that. There are people who we try and help all the time. We've created, or we're participating in, a Connect to Save program, the smart thermostat and water heater. You saw a little demonstration of it as you walked in this evening. We have close to 3,200 members participating in the program. And we have 4,200 thermostats and 800 water heaters under control. These devices are helping our members to save money. In December 2022, we gave back $20 to every account that was active. And one of our favorite activities that we participate in every year is the Bright Ideas Educational Grant Program. And in 2022, we gave 74 projects grants to the tune of $77,000. The cumulative numbers on this program for the last 29 years, we have funded 2,375 projects to the tune of $1,623,000. And that has touched 6,600 educators and 625,000 students. That is one of the best programs that we have in our organization today. So, in summary, I want you to know, operationally, we are in great shape and we're getting better every day. From a customer service standpoint, we are above the vast majority of our competition. Financially, we're in a strong position, and we are doing that with some of the lowest rates in the state of North Carolina, and those rates haven't changed for 10 years. But let me leave you with these thoughts as I close. We are here to be your power supplier. We are here to be your community partner. We're here to be the best customer service organization that we can. But most importantly, we are ready to lead your company into the future with new technology, but always remembering where we came from and never forsaking our members. I want to thank you all for coming this evening. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. And good luck to you all on the truck.
Thank you, Mr. Clark, for that wonderful report. As you can see, our management is doing a great job. Our employees are. And at this time, I'd like to introduce our General Counsel, Mr. Bob Worley of the Law Office of John D. Worley. Come on.
Mr. Pierce, thank you. And it's really, really nice to see everybody. You sort of take things for granted on what you lose, and we've got that back. And it's just nice to see everybody out tonight. Thank you for coming. The next order of business for tonight is going to be the election of directors. The Jones-Onslow bylaws provide that a member can have his or her name submitted as a nominee for the board, either through the nominating committee or by having a petition filed with Jones-Onslow with at least 3% of the membership, and that has to be filed at least 35 days prior to tonight's annual meeting. At this time, I'm going to call upon Mr. Gary Johnson. He's the chairman of the 2023 nominating committee, and he's going to submit his report.
Thank you, Bob. Good evening, everyone. The Committee on Nominations did it at a meeting held on February the 23rd of 2023, unanimously nominate the following candidates for a 3-year term. Directorate District Number 1, Mr. Cecil Hargett. Directorate District Number 2, Mr. Brandon Howard. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Inasmuch as there were no petitions filed with Jones-Onslow, I hereby certify the election of the following directors pursuant to Section 3.04 for 3-year terms pursuant to the bylaws. Mr. Cecil Hargett for Director at District 1 and Mr. Brandon Howard for Director at District 2. The election of directors concludes the business aspect of tonight's meeting. At this time, I'll call for any old or new business to come before the meeting tonight. There being none, I hereby declare the meeting adjourned. It was nice seeing you all. Have a great night. Good luck. Thank you.